Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
How's everybody doing? You're all going, oh my God, it's early.
Yeah, but at least on their seats, they have a special kit.
That is true. For those of you in the back who have not picked up the special kit, there may be something in there that would be beneficial early in the morning.
If, for instance, you have a headache from last night, there might be some help and relief. It's on the way.
Or a stomach ache.
Stomach ache, that could be there too. But anyway, we're looking out for you.
So good morning, my name is Scott DeBlay.
I'm Mike Bachman.
And we are both global architects for Dell Boomi. Has anybody here ever heard of Dell Boomi? Fantastic.
Okay, great.
So we're going to talk to you today about building a connected business.
Yes, we are. And one thing that we often get asked is, why does Dell have an integration platform? And it's kind of simple. Really, we have different defined lanes in how we work together. We've got this physical layer, which essentially provides all of the infrastructure that's necessary in a data center. And that's taken care of by Dell EMC, servers, storage, networking, that sort of thing. And then from an infrastructure management standpoint, VMware is really the tool used here. So when we can abstract this physical architecture into something that's virtual, that's necessary for a management plane to exist for a public or a private cloud. And certainly in a hybrid environment, this also applies. Then, if we go beyond that and we start to look at how we can make the infrastructure even more efficient, then we take a look at containerizing infrastructure in general and making applications more microservice in architecture. So infrastructure as a code, containers, functions, these are the things that really Pivotal brings to the table, and much, much more. And then on the top of that, we're here to orchestrate outcomes. The idea of what Boomi does inside of infrastructure is to make sure that the applications running on the infrastructure, no matter how distributed that infrastructure can be, are connected and the data moves the way that the customers need them to. So we're here to click and orchestrate an outcome. And that's what we do at Dell Boomi.
Absolutely.
So to put a finer point on it, if we look at this particular slide, it basically tells the same story and also wraps security around it as well. So the idea that we can take different lines of business inside of Dell, whether you're talking about VMware or Dell EMC at the infrastructure layer or the infrastructure management layer, IaaS in the Virtue Stream layer, where we can leverage that partner to be able to take high-end types of applications and operate them in their environment. Then you have Dell Boomi, which can connect all applications, which we'll see, whether they're in a cloud, public, or a private cloud, or some sort of hybrid fashion, connecting SaaS with native cloud applications, as well as on-prem applications. And then Pivotal rounds it up at the top. Along with RSA and SecureWorks on the security side, we really have infrastructure, security, and applications covered.
So all of you are probably familiar with companies that aren't around any longer, that kind of failed in some sense to grab onto the market changing and certainly digital transformation. Companies that come to mind for me, Polaroid as an example, Kodak, Blockbuster, companies that got replaced by something that came in and digitized their world or modernized their world and kind of took them out. So certainly it's something to be aware of for all of us. We have to keep evolving our companies and moving our technology forward to adapt to what's changing in the marketplace. But there's a challenge with that. So industry analysts would tell you that 74% of your digital transformations are going to fail. And that's in large part because of the application infrastructure we have today and the complexity of connecting those applications together and getting data from one place to the other when we need it in a real timely fashion.
Yeah, it's a pretty difficult thing to do. Let's talk about that a little bit more.
So this is kind of the world we live in today. It's a great world. All of us have wonderful applications. There's cloud-based and great SaaS providers that provide applications for us. A lot of us are using cloud-based CRM and those types of things. But that's a challenge, right? It's no longer the days, I'll age myself, But there's no longer the days where literally everything was in your data center, typically running on one platform. And let's go even before that, where everything was in a mainframe, and you knew all your data was in one location. Connecting some of that was a little bit easier. Today, we're quite distributed. We have different platforms, different architectures, different things to do. And it's a challenge when I need something that occurs in a cloud-based CRM to trigger an order in my factory system. So how do we accomplish that? Well, that's exactly what Dell Boomi helps you do, is connect those applications, connect that data, transform it where it needs to be, and get it quickly between these applications, whether that's in the cloud, on your premise, wherever, sharing data with business partners, putting all that data together so you can transact your business quicker.
Yeah, so we like to take a look at different challenges to transformation in this sort of way. It's easy to create point-to-point connections. And as we go from applications that are in the cloud or on-prem to in the cloud, it's really easy to have that point-to-point pipeline. But what makes it difficult from an integration standpoint is when a business process is involved. And so really, inside of industry, we think that there are three essential factors that need to happen in order to make sure that a digital business is truly connected. So first is connecting anything and everything. So the idea is that all of the applications that you have today or that you're going to be created, or that you're going to create, are going to need a layer of management and connectivity between them to be able to make sure that all of those endpoints are connected the way you need them. So by creating a fabric of connectivity, this is what the industry really needs to do going forward, and I'm sure you've heard that a lot throughout the conference. Engaging everywhere is the second point that businesses really need as well. And the idea here is that you not only want to connect the applications, but you need to make sure that both the business process people, as well as IT and dev as part of IT, can collaborate with each other so that you can roll out projects faster. This allows you to engage everywhere and then run anywhere. So whether your runtime is in the cloud or on-prem, you need to be the person or people making the choices on how that actually happens. Get your runtime closer to the data so that you can move your business everywhere that you need to.
So that brings us to the Boomi platform and the ecosystem and capabilities that we bring to offer for you. So at the core of our unified platform is integration. It's certainly what we're best known for, what we've been doing for quite some time. But that really is the core where all this starts, and that's integrating applications. I know when we say integrating applications, it sometimes seems like, what does that really mean? It's really data sharing between applications, pulling data out of one, giving it to another. That could be through APIs, it could be through a variety of different methods to get that data. But building those processes are very easy with our Integrate. All of our tools are built around a very simple web-based configuration and management tool, a drag and drop approach to building your processes, a very low-code approach to doing it. But at core is that database or application data integration. There's also Master Data Hub. This is where we can store your master records. Again, when you've got a number of applications, and we all do, and a growing sprawl of applications, making sure that the data within them is consistent is very important. So for example, my name has a capital B in the middle of it, usually misspelled in most systems. Some people put a space. If you could store that one record as a gold record and make sure every system had your customer's name spelled correctly or addresses spelled correctly, that's essentially what Master Data Hub brings into the business for you. We can certainly do APIs. This is the modern world we live in with data being presented via an API. It's a great way to get data in and even present data as an API through Boomi. And we can make managing and getting data through the APIs from various applications a lot simpler. And then lastly, a couple things. We do B2B. That's actually what we were born out of many years ago. So there's an EDI functionality. And then there's often a human element to integration. Most of the time, it's just something that occurs in the background. Your users don't see it. They put a record in CRM. It happens to show up in the accounting database. But sometimes maybe there's some things where I need to engage users. Think of like an onboarding application, Mike, or something along those lines, or a web form on your website where a customer wants to fill this out for more information. And as soon as they click it, you want it to go right into your CRM. So we have a utility called Flow, which allows you to build very simple human interfaces to tie into your integration processes.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you're a business person and you want to design spreadsheets, instead of doing that, do something that's sort of web-facing and actually create an app for people who don't know how to code.
That's right. So you bring in our unified platform, and as Mike was mentioning before, the key to all of this is to engage your users wherever they are, mobile platforms, desktops, laptops, it really doesn't matter, and certainly run the process altogether. So our configuration, management, and all that is certainly in the cloud, but our runtime is what we call an atom, and the runtime where that actually moves the data around can be in the cloud, on-premise, wherever you want it to be. So certainly we can run that utility wherever.
Absolutely. So there are a lot of impacts to doing it this way. Speed is the first one. I mean, the fact that the platform is being managed by Boomi helps so that the resources can focus on building out applications for the business, so what are core to the business. Then the second thing is to have higher efficiency. Data's moving all over the place. I mean, you've heard that data is the new currency, right? And that, while that expression is being thrown out very freely, I think it's very important to take into consideration that in order to have this data fabric around the application layer is essential for both business and technical folks. And then the last thing is lower total cost of ownership. The idea that we can manage a platform for integration between applications is essential to speed as well as overall cost reduction.
So let's get a little bit deeper into it and talk about some 4 key areas that we can cover. Why don't you take the first one?
Yeah, so in order to have this sort of new architecture, we have to be able to connect without complexity. And by connecting without complexity, imagine not having to code at all any of the connections or business processes that you would be able to integrate all of these applications. And while some of you may not be familiar with this, you can actually snap together applications with Boomi in a no-code environment. In fact, that's really where we made our bones. So connect without complexity at all. Now, if you do want to code, you can certainly do that. But we give you, as native to the platform, the ability to drag and drop connectors for a business process and control the data flow in between those different connection points or endpoints. So the really neat thing about this is we were first to market to this whole approach, and we actually created a different type of industry that Gartner defines as the integration platform as a service. And so this is what we've been providing really since 2008 or so.
Yeah, it's probably worth a little bit of history of Boomi. So
Yeah.
some of you may have not heard it before. So Boomi actually started back in the year 2000. We did the first cloud integration platform as a service in the year 2006.
That's right.
We were acquired by Dell in 2010 and been part of Dell ever since. So we certainly have a very mature and long-standing platform.
So this is why we're trusted by about 8,000 customers today and growing rapidly. So the other thing about reducing the amount of complexity in terms of integration, because we own the platform, we can update the platform and maintain the platform so that your developers no longer have to write the code or get an update, wait for updates to happen, do all of the testing. We do that for you. And so by taking advantage of this, you can move faster, and that's really what we're here to do. You know, the next thing we want to do is give our users the ability to see their data processes and see what might be impacting those data processes as well. So a 360-degree view of your data is absolutely what our platform provides. And then we leverage AI inside of our platform as well so that we see recurrent themes in different types of processes. So for instance, if a pattern is recognized by the 70 million different patterns that we are processes that we have inside of the platform, and you're designing a platform or a process of your own, we'll compare it against what has already come before you so we can optimize or make suggestions on how to optimize your current process.
Absolutely. Certainly built for scale. The platform itself, one of the reasons that the advantage of being in the cloud is all that burden is on us, not on you. I don't have to install anything on your site. You can be one user, can be many hundreds of users all using the platform. It's certainly scalable from that standpoint. And the runtime is scalable as well, very distributed. Again, as we mentioned, install anywhere in your cloud, on our cloud, on your premise. You can have a single, what we call atom. You can build them into clusters called molecules, so you can have very high availability and do a lot of transactions. So it's a very, very scalable architecture, very easy to deploy.
And put the runtime wherever your data is, right?
Exactly. And we're certainly very trusted. 94.9's availability in our world is fantastic, very highly available from that standpoint. And as we mentioned before, we're part of Dell and have been for a while. So it's that whole trusted ecosystem of partners and capabilities that you can get from Dell Technologies.
All right, so we're going to close today just talking about one of the many customer references that we have. But this particular customer, Crossmark, went through a digital transformation, and they had a ton of records that they really needed to provide a golden image of, or a golden copy. So when you have multiple databases with different types of records, like Scott was saying, for a name of a customer, that can affect the overall business as well. So they needed help with that. They also needed to be able to integrate into Salesforce and to be able to connect to Azure as well. So, and there are a few others that were connected in this process too. But had they not used Boomi, they couldn't have gained the speed that they got from being able to connect all of their endpoints, whether they're in the cloud or on-prem. So there were multiple versions of the truth. This customer really was going through a tough spot.
Yeah, absolutely. So they brought in Boomi, and you can hit the next slide. Some of the results of what you could do see in the start. They took what was going to take an extremely long time to develop and get it off the ground. We did it in 4 months or less.
That's right. So most of the processes that we see, customers tell us when you have to take a legacy type of integration platform that's on-prem, and you have to be able to make sure that it's tested and rolled out to production, make sure that the endpoints are connected, make sure that all of the systems can talk to each other, or all of the applications can talk to each other properly. This typically takes anywhere from months to years to be able to roll out. And so what we need to do is make sure that we make this process easy and fast. That gets you to market, that gets you through your project backlog a lot quicker, and it enables you to be more nimble in this digital market that we're going into.
So we invite you to come visit us. We're in the Dell EMC booth, which is roughly over that away, booth 1100. Awesome.
Yes.
Booth 1100. One of the demos we're actually doing, and we can do many demos, is just a simple example of pulling data out of CRM and putting it into a database. In this case, we're using Salesforce and dumping it into a MySQL database, where, again, if you know how to write code and those types of things, you can certainly do that, but it would take time to write the code, debug the code, troubleshoot the code, and then, of course, anytime an API changed at Salesforce, it'd have to redo all those things. We can show you how we built that process literally by dragging over a Salesforce connector, provide your credentials to Salesforce, drag over a MySQL, in this case, MySQL connector, provide credentials, build a very simple map, drag and drop between the fields you need to do, and you deploy that process in typically less than 10 to 15 minutes.
That's right. The other thing we can do as well is certainly here at this particular conference, a lot of folks want to know how to connect their business to artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, anything like that. How can that actually work? Come on over. We'll talk through that whole process as well. Again, I'm Mike Bachman.
I'm Scott Blay. For those of you who showed up, we have some little baggies in the front that have some items that may be very helpful, again, for the third day of a trade show and early in the morning.
Yeah, we'll call it an early morning. We can't say medical kit, I don't think.
No, we can call it
relief kit,
a trade show relief kit.
Trade
I like
show
that.
relief
so
kit.
Please come up and grab one, and we'll hopefully see you in the booth. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time.